The smell hits you before anything else. Rotting fish, wood smoke, unwashed bodies, and underneath all of it, sewage running straight down the middle of the street. This is London, somewhere around the year 1300. Not the romantic, torchlit version from the movies, the real thing. Loud, filthy, terrifying, and once you understand how it actually worked, kind of incredible. London in the medieval period wasn't a clean little stone city with neat cottages. It was packed. Tens of thousands of people crammed inside walls the Romans had built more than 1,000 years earlier. Streets so narrow that two carts couldn't pass each other. Upper floors leaning so far over the road that buildings on opposite sides nearly touched. Bells rang for church services. Vendors shouted out prices. Animals were herded through to market. Cartwheels clattered over cobblestone. This was a city that never really stopped. Say you're an average person living here. Not nobility, not desperately poor, just an ordinary craftsman trying to get through the day. That day starts before sunrise because daylight was valuable. Candles cost money, and most people couldn't burn them all morning just to see. Your home is probably one of two rooms. Wooden frame, walls made of wattle and daub, woven branches packed with a mix of mud, straw, and animal dung. It held up better than it sounds. Your bed is a straw mattress on a wooden frame, often shared with 2 or 3 family members. Privacy simply wasn't part of life yet. Breakfast, if there was one, meant bread and ale. Yes, ale, even for children. The water in London wasn't something you wanted to drink straight from the Thames or a local well, both contaminated by waste. Ale was brewed, which meant it had been boiled, which made it safer than the water. Step outside and the chaos starts immediately. Most streets weren't paved. Main roads might have cobblestones, but side streets were packed earth that turned to mud the moment it rained. People often shouted warnings before dumping waste into the street, giving anyone below a chance to move out of the way. Pigs wandered loose through the city, rooting through garbage and knocking into people so often that London passed laws trying to ban them from the streets altogether. Despite all of it, the city was thriving. This was one of the busiest trading centers in Europe. Head toward the river, toward an area like Cheapside, and you'd find the real heartbeat of London. Cheapside was the city's main commercial street. Butchers, bakers, goldsmiths, leatherworkers, all packed together, each trade clustering on its own road, which is where a lot of London's street names come from today. Bread Street, Milk Street, Wood Street, not cute names, literal descriptions of what was sold there. Most work ran through the guild system. Wanting to be a blacksmith or a tailor wasn't a choice you made overnight. You became an apprentice as a child, sometimes as young as 7, living and training under a master craftsman for years, often 7 or more, before you could practice the trade on your own. The Thames was the city's highway. Ships arrived from Flanders, France, and beyond, carrying wool, wine, and spices. London Bridge, the medieval one, lined with houses and shops built right onto it, was one of the busiest crossings in the entire city. Religion wasn't separate from daily life. It structured it. Church bells marked when to wake, when to eat, when to pray, when curfew began. Over 100 parish churches were packed into the city at various points, so most people were never more than a couple of minutes' walk from one. Faith existed alongside fear. Plague, famine, and fire weren't distant threats. They were things people lived through, sometimes more than once. When the Black Death reached London in the mid-1300s, it didn't just cause suffering, it emptied entire neighborhoods within months. People often picture medieval cities as lawless. They weren't. The law was simply different. Punishments were public, deliberately so. Stocks and pillories held minor offenders in the open where crowds could watch and sometimes throw things. Serious crimes often ended at sites like Smithfield, just outside the city walls, where executions drew large crowds. For medieval Londoners, this wasn't just punishment, it was how order got reinforced in full view of everyone. As the sun went down, London changed completely. There was no real street lighting. A wealthier doorway might have a lantern, but most of the city simply went dark. Curfew laws closed the city gates at night, and being caught wandering without good reason could get you stopped, questioned, sometimes worse. Inside, families gathered around whatever light they had, a fire if they could afford the wood, a single candle if not. Storytelling, prayer, quiet conversation. After a gay this loud, the night brought a kind of stillness that's hard to picture now. Medieval London wasn't the gray, miserable place it's sometimes painted as. It was loud, dirty, dangerous in places, but full of life. People going to work, arguing over prices, praying, falling in love, burying their dead, and somehow keeping the whole thing running. The same things people do now, just inside a completely different world. Through plagues, fires, and centuries of change, that city is still standing, still busy, still loud in its own way. If you enjoyed this walk through medieval London, hit subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And let me know in the comments, where should we go next? Ancient Rome? Tokyo before it became a megacity? Somewhere else entirely? I'll pick the next one based on what you all want to see. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.